you need to actually create a new YouTube stream in your dashboard before every single stream. The default stream key will automatically create a new stream for you, so you don't need to worry about that one, but every second subsequent stream after that, you need to manually create a new stream, which is super annoying. So I recommend keeping a doc of your YouTube dashboard in OBS because you're gonna need to access this before you start up every single stream. Make sure you create a new stream key here and call it vertical. This is what you're gonna wanna put into your ATEM vertical settings, but you only need to do that once. You don't need to create that every single time. Again, I go into more detail in my ATEM vertical video, so if you're confused about how that setup process works, just go and watch that video. And then subscribe because I've got like tons of videos about streaming and I literally don't do anything else in my life. Speaking of vertical streaming, something very exciting seems to be happening at Twitch. It seems like they're planning to support vertical streams soon, so hopefully you'll be able to stream in both vertical and horizontal formats at the same time. But the difference is, you know how YouTube, it just creates two separate streams with two separate chats and it's really annoying? Twitch's version looks like it's gonna work more like it does on TikTok. So in TikTok, when you're watching a stream in vertical, but you click full screen, it goes into a completely different horizontal layout. Exeldro has already hacked into Twitch's enhanced broadcasting feature. Twitch is doing this thing where you can send multiple copies of your stream at different resolutions.
What is up, creator? We are going to revisit the animated lower thirds for OBS. We're going to talk about the memory slots and some of the settings and parameters that are involved with it. We're also going to clear up some confusion that you may be having with the tool. We're going to make it all simple for you right now. Let's get some. Our community here on YouTube is growing exponentially, and there are some creators that really go the extra mile for this channel, and one of those creators is Rider of Dinosaurs. Now, the reason why I mentioned this great creator is because he helped me understand how this darn tool actually works. It is very unintuitive in my opinion, and I was having a high level of difficulty wrapping my head around how to work these memory slots. And so Rider of Dinosaurs went the extra mile and made me a video. We have since been in contact with each other. He's out of England, and he has done a fantastic job. So I want to let you know, if you're interested in debunking some of the craziness that is online in regards to like flat earth and other crazy stuff, his channel is the place to go. It is absolutely funny. Visit the Rider of Dinosaurs channel and check it out for yourself. You're gonna love it. This OBS lower thirds tool is absolutely powerful. Wait till you see what these memory slots can do. Here we go. Okay, there's a few of you that say that I'm talking a little bit too fast for my tutorials, and I'm going to try to slow it down just a little bit so that you can digest how this thing works. When you look at this thing for the first time, common sense would say, oh, I've got 4 entry boxes for 4 individual lower third animations. But that's not necessarily true. What's actually true is that each box represents 10 lower thirds that you can enter. And the reason why there are 4 boxes is because if you click the little clock icon right here, it clamshells open and it allows you to enter in your own custom times that will override the main setting custom times here. So what these times represent is that the first entry here, 2 seconds, represents the transition time in and transition time out for the lower third, okay? The next box represents the time that the lower third stays in view, and box 3 represents the time at which the box is not viewable. So that's what the times mean, and that's why we have 4 different individual entry boxes, because it gives you 4 ways to add your own custom in-out transition not seen times. That's all it means. What's important to understand is that when you go into one single box here, you've got these memory slots, and every one of these memory slots allows you to enter different text and a different image for your lower third. Pretty cool, huh? That's a lot of lower thirds. So now what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the red square. This is confusing a lot of people, and it's changed from the previous version to this newer version, which is 1.6. Actually, the red square represents two different kinds of states in regards to inactivity. I'll explain it in just one sec. There are two ways that the animated lower third tool can be inactive. The first one is when you turn on the lower third box without first turning on the main settings. Main settings must be turned on in order for the lower third box to function. Okay? The second way. What is up, creator? It is good to see you. In this video, we're going to discuss how to set up an animated lower third in OBS Studio. It's going to make you look super professional. Let's get some. If you're looking for a specific tutorial on video, post it in comments. I read them all, and if your idea fits the subject of the channel, I will make a tutorial specifically for you and give you a shout out. That brings us to the MK Lazam comment. He says, "Hey Scott, would you show us how to install animated lower thirds in OBS?" Yes, I will. It fits the channel. Thank you very much, MK Lazam. Pop over to his channel and give him some love. Let's get started with the tutorial. Okay, here we are at the blue website. We are at obsproject.com. And we are at the animated lower thirds with dockable control panel. Dockable control panel is the key words here because it actually expands the functionality of your OBS program. I will put a link to this page in the description, so go down there and check it out. Click the white download button in the upper right-hand corner. Let it download the file. Now that you have the lower thirds.zip file in there, double click it. And Windows 10 will show you an Extract All button. Click Extract All, and it will prompt you to save it wherever you want it to save. In this case, I'm going to put it in my Downloads folder. I'll click Extract. And now I have a lower thirds folder with the contents of that file, all there ready to go. This isn't the best location for the folder because it could get deleted, and if it does, you lose the whole program in OBS. So what I would recommend that you do is move this folder into the OBS program files folder. So the question is, where's my OBS installed? And that's very easy to find out. All you have to do is start up OBS in your bottom taskbar here, and just start it up. And then once it's running, you can right-click on the icon, and then right-click again on OBS and click Properties. And the window that opens up provides a target for the location of where the OBS startup file is. In this case, it's in C Program Files. That's where I want to go. So I'll go into my C drive, go into Program Files, go down to OBS Studio, and paste that folder in there, and now it's saved. And I'd like you to double-click the lower dash thirds folder, and then click into the lower space thirds folder. And these three files pretty much compose the blood and guts of the tool. And what we need to do is find out what the local URL is of Control-Panel. Control-Panel is what you will see as a dockable panel in OBS. So double click it, open it up in your browser, and highlight the URL and put that into your cache, copy it. Now go into OBS and select View, Docs, Custom Browser Dock, and name it lower third. In this case, I'm going to make the title as short as possible here. Lower third. And then I'll paste in the URL and hit apply. And then I can click close on that window. And here is our new dock, and we can drag this in anywhere we want. Control-Panel is what you will see as a dockable panel in OBS. So double click it, open it up in your browser, and highlight the URL and put that into your cache, copy it. Now go into OBS and select View, Docs, Custom Browser. browser dock and name it lower third. In this case, I'm going to make the title as short as possible here. Lower third. And then I'll paste in the URL and hit apply. And then I can click close on that window. And here is our new dock, and we can drag this in anywhere we want in our OBS program, which is phenomenal. And this is HTML. So if you're a web developer, you could potentially develop your own custom dock with OBS, which is absolutely amazing. Okay, the next step is to set up your hotkeys to power your lower thirds. And we're going to do that by going into Tools, Scripts, and then clicking the plus sign in the lower left-hand corner. And it gives you the default Lua script location. Now, if you were to take the Lua script and move it into this folder, the script would not work because it is expecting certain folders to exist. So what we need to do is find the current location of the hotkey Lua script. And okay, the next step is to set up your hotkeys to power your lower thirds. And we're going to do that by going into Tools, Scripts, and then clicking the plus sign in the lower left-hand corner. Okay, the next step is to set up your hotkeys to power your lower thirds. And we're going to do that by going into Tools, Scripts, and then clicking the plus sign in the lower left-hand corner. And it gives you the default Lua script location. Now, if you were to take the Lua script and move it into this folder, the script would not work because it is expecting certain folders to exist. So what we need to do is find the current location of the hotkey Lua script, and that resides inside of OBS Studio, lower dash thirds, lower space thirds, and there it is. That's the way this has to be selected because the script expects to use subfolders within the lower dash thirds folder. This is the easiest way, trust me. So hit open, and you are good. Hit close. Okay, that concludes the installation. I hope it was easy enough for you. Okay, the next step is to set up your hotkeys to power your lower thirds. And we're going to do that by going into Tools, Scripts, and then clicking the plus sign in the lower left-hand corner. And it gives you the default Lua script location. Now, if you were to take the Lua script and move it into this folder, the script would not work because it is expecting certain folders to exist. So what we need to do is find the current location of the hotkey Lua script, and that resides inside of OBS Studio, lower dash thirds, lower space thirds, and there it is. That's the way this has to be selected because the script expects to use subfolders within the lower dash thirds folder. This is the easiest way, trust me. So hit open, and you are good. Good. Hit close. Okay, that concludes the installation. I hope it was easy enough for you. Now let's get in to see how this thing actually functions. You can install custom logos, change colors. This thing is crazy cool. Let's go. Let's set up the source in your OBS Studio so that you can see the animated lower thirds appear. Let's click the plus sign in the lower left-hand corner of your sources area, select browser, and type in lower third. Hit OK. Now in the section right below the little blue square here, there's a little checkbox called local file. Click that off, and the local file field now has a browse button. Click the browse button and go into program files or wherever OBS resides on your system, OBS-Studio, lower-thirds, and then lower space thirds. Inside there, you'll see an HTML document called browser-source. Click that, hit open, and it will insert that page into OBS. Now, the next part you need to worry about really is the width. And in most cases, it's going to be 1920. I'll type in 1920 right now. If you're not sure what that should be, I'll show you in just 1 second. In the custom CSS section, highlight that and just get rid of it. We don't need it. And right below, there are 2 white checkboxes. One is shut down source when not visible. Check that off. And refresh browser when scene becomes active. Make sure that's also checked. Hit OK. And you should see the red box as the full width of your screen. If you don't, that means that your size of the window that's showing the browser information is not the right size. To find out what that should be, go into settings and go into video, and in the base canvas resolution 1920 by 1080, that first number 1920 is what the width should be. So if it's less than that, like I think, what is it, 1280 is it? 1280, yes. If it's 1280 or 256, then you'll want to change it to that right size. The name of the game is to get it as big as possible in your screen, because you don't want it to be too small. You want it to be seen. Okay, let's move on. Here's what it looks like. If I hit the Shift 1 key, my name will appear. Look at that. It's got a semi-transparent background, real slick moving. I'm going to hit Shift 1 again. It'll go away. And now we'll hit Shift 2. And the subscribe message comes in, real professional, real slick. Make that go away by hitting Shift 2 again. And then finally, Shift 3 brings in the like button. Real slick. Can't wait to show you how to make this work. Here we go. You have these 4 instances of lower thirds. In other words, you have the ability to add 4 lower thirds onto your live stream. And each one has a little switch. See it here? And when I click it, it goes red. And the reason why is, in order for the lower third to function, I must first turn on the main setting toggle. And as you can see, it turns blue, which means that it's active. So now when I click the toggle for lower third 1, it turns blue and the actual lower third appears. Okay? If I was to turn off the main settings and try to turn on the lower third, it goes red, meaning it's not able to do it. Now, I'll have you know that you will be able to assign hotkeys to control these toggles. So if I go into settings and go into hotkeys and scroll down a little bit, you'll see here lower third switch 1 through 4 actually control those toggles. So if I hit Shift 1, you'll see that toggle move. And if I hit it again, it toggles off. Okay? So that's how you control these things with those hotkeys. Pretty simple stuff. Now, if I click the plus sign, you'll begin to see all the extra parameters available for these individual lower thirds, and the main setting also clamshells open to reveal more parameters. I'm going to talk about what these parameters are for the main settings. Here we go. Okay, the global times in main setting, you have 3 fields. The first one represents the time by which the transition comes into view, the transition time essentially. The middle field represents the time that the lower third is visible. And then after that designation, it counts down and then goes away. And when it's not seen, another clock begins to tick. And when that clock runs out, it starts over again. Okay, the next thing is the theme select. You have this ACRI, dark, and Rezinci. I don't know. There are different color schemes. I just recommend staying in the dark because it feels like OBS, and I think you would be more comfortable with it. Hey, the next setting is really cool. It allows you to grab fonts from Google Fonts and insert them into the software. So if you go to fonts.google.com, you'll get to the website and you can choose from anything you want here. Now, if you want to isolate a font that has sort of a thicker line, go into Font Properties and check off Thickness, and now the system will show you all the thick-lined text files here. So, just for an example, I'll click Luckiest Guy, and I'll scroll up and I will select this regular 400 font here by clicking Select this style. And it inserts it into the column on the right. Now check off the radio button that says @import and highlight the CSS rules to specify. Take note, just to check now, it says Luckiest Guy right there, so that confirms that it is working properly. Highlight that all, copy it, and go back into OBS and paste that into the first field next to Custom Font. Okay, let's go back. Now we want to copy this part here at Google Fonts. I'll hit copy again. Go back in and paste that. Okay, now we hit the plus sign. And as you can see, it says Luckiest Guy cursive. All right, we're good to go. Now, if you want to do it again and select the second font, you can do it, but you have to click Remove All. This has to be that icon that does this, okay? If you don't see that, it's not going to work out. Go back to the beginning and select a random font here. I don't know, Jaldi looks pretty cool. And it looks like we have two varying thicknesses of the line. I'll click the thicker one, select the style. And as you can see, in the CSS rule, it does say Jaldi, so that means it's going to work. So you just highlight it all, copy it, put it back in there real quick. Boop. Go back in, highlight the top field here. Whoop, I got to make sure that @import is selected. That's very important. Hit copy and go back in and paste it. Hit the plus sign, and it has been added. So when I go into the lower thirds here, I don't know, there are different color schemes. I just recommend staying in the dark because it feels like OBS, and I think you would be more comfortable with it. Hey, the next setting is really cool. It allows you to grab fonts from Google Fonts and insert them into the software. So if you go to fonts.google.com, you'll get to the website and you can choose from anything you want here. Now, if you want to isolate a font that has sort of a thicker line, go into Font Properties and check off Thickness, and now the system will show you all the thick-lined text files here. So, just for an example, I'll click Luckiest Guy, and I'll scroll up and I will select this regular 400 font here by clicking Select this style. And it inserts it into the column on the right. Now check off the radio button that says @import and highlight the CSS rules to specify. Take note, just to check now, it says Luckiest Guy right there, so that confirms that it is working properly. Highlight that all, copy it, and go back into OBS and paste that into the first field next to Custom Font. Okay, let's go back. Now we want to copy this part here. Be more comfortable with it. Hey, the next setting is really cool. It allows you to grab fonts from Google Fonts and insert them into the software. So if you go to fonts.google.com, you'll get to the website and you can choose from anything you want here. Now, if you want to isolate a font that has sort of a thicker line, go into Font Properties and check off Thickness, and now the system will show you all the thick-lined text files here. So, just for an example, I'll click Luckiest Guy, and I'll scroll up and I will select this regular 400 font here by clicking Select this style. And it inserts it into the column on the right. Now check off the radio button that says @import and highlight the CSS rules to specify. Take note, just to check now, it says Luckiest Guy right there, so that confirms that it is working properly. Highlight that all, copy it, and go back into OBS and paste that into the first field next to Custom Font. Okay, let's go back. Now we want to copy this part here at Google Fonts. I'll hit copy again. Go back in and paste that. Okay, now we hit the plus sign. And it inserts it into the column on the right. Now check off the radio button that says @import and highlight the CSS rules to specify. Take note, just to check now, it says Luckiest Guy right there, so that confirms that it is working properly. Highlight that all, copy it, and go back into OBS and paste that into the first field next to custom font. Okay, let's go back. Now we want to copy this part here at Google Fonts. I'll hit copy again. Go back in and paste that. Okay, now we hit the plus sign. And as you can see, it says Luckiest Guy cursive. All right, we're good to go. Now, if you want to do it again and select the second font, you can do it, but you have to click Remove All. This has to be that icon that does this, okay? If you don't see that, it's not going to work out. Go back to the beginning and select a random font here. I don't know, Jaldi looks pretty cool. And it looks like we have two varying thicknesses of the line. I'll click the thicker one, select the style. And as you can see, in the CSS rule, it does say Jaldi, so that means it's going to work. So you just highlight it all, copy it, put it back in there real quick. Boop. Go back in, highlight the top field here. Whoop, I got to make sure that at import is selected. That's very important. Hit copy and go back in and paste it. Hit the plus sign, and it has been added. So when I go into the lower thirds here and click the plus sign, I see these two at the bottom of the font list. That proves that it does work. If you want to delete them, you can. Just hit the trash can next to the fonts. The next four parameters all have to do with cosmetic adjustment. They're self-explanatory. Have fun playing with them. The default logos are a little bit misleading because when you click one of the icons here, you see a larger window open up with Choose Image, and you say, oh, cool. When I click the Choose Image button, it opens up a file explorer, and you can say, oh, I can just go out in any subfolder on my computer and select a graphic, and it'll work. The answer is it will not work because the graphics must reside inside of OBS-Studio lower-thirds logo folder. They have to be in the logo folder. They have to have the same name. naming convention, so they should all be named logo, lower score, and then a number. They have to be ping 24s with transparency, and if they're not following that criteria, the system's not going to know what to do with it, and you'll get a blank image icon. So, best case scenario, what you should do is take the graphic, open it up in your editor, change it, and resave it into the same location, and everything will be right in your life. Now, the next thing I want to show you that's pretty cool is the backup data. We have something called import export. If you click export, look at all the settings I have here. All these little lower third setups. I got colors and everything. If I hit export, it saves JSON data to my system cache, okay? So I can bring in a text file and hit paste now that I've saved it in cache, and it puts all this crazy stuff in here. And then I'm going to save it as whatever. I'll just put Scott.json. You need to save it as a JSON. Hit save, and then I'll close this out. And then what I'll do is I will click the reset button, hit OK, and it completely removes all the data on the tool. And this will fix any issues that you may have with the software. If you get in any trouble or if it gets kind of wonky, do that and it will reset the whole thing. Now I can go back, click the plus, show more, go in and click import. And it gives me an Explorer prompt. I'll go into downloads where I save that scott.json file, hit open, and bam, it puts all the stuff that I created back into the tool, and everything is right in the world. So it's good that you know how to do this because you can create backups of what you're doing. This software is incredible. Okay, let's move on to the next part, which is where we'll talk about the parameters available for the individual lower thirds. Here we go. Okay, let's look at these parameters for the actual lower third. Here we are in 2. As you can see, it's blue. I've got it turned on. It's active. All right, everybody else is turned off. The icon in the upper left is the icon that shows the graphic. Okay, so you can toggle that on and off. The next one next to it is the background color. If I click that, it turns it on. And I'll have you know that the two color selectors here, the CLR1 and CLR2, CLR2 represents the color of the background, okay? And it has opacity. And the other one next to it, CLR1, is that middle line that separates the graphic from the text, which is super cool. The double square icon represents a drop shadow. So you see that appearing for the text and the separator. And then of course we've got the alignment. That's self-explanatory. Okay, the next one's a little bit tricky. That is this paintbrush, and you have 2 parameters. One is a number 2, which makes the background colors, the CLR1, CLR2, apply to behind the text itself. Or you have 1. Now I'll have you know that you need to have 1 selected in order to see the graphic. All right, I'll select it back to 1 here. The next one is the overall size of the entire thing. These 2 here are adjustments to where it's placed, okay, self-explanatory. This next one here, this T with an up and down arrow, shifts the size of the both lines, and it does it in 1 parameter. So if I go up in size, it makes the top line smaller, and if I go click another arrow, it changes the size. All right, pretty self-explanatory. And the next one is the space between the lines. So if I change that, as you can see, it gets taller and there's more space between the lines. Next one obviously is the font, okay? And we have the 2 lines available for the text. And next to the text we have a parameter that makes it all uppercase or lowercase, which is kind of nice. And we have a bold parameter as well. And then we have the color. Okay, the little square containing the YouTube logo is where you select your icon. Obviously, click it, choose image, and I want to remind you that you must select graphics that reside in the logos folder inside of lower dash thirds within the OBS installation folder in your program files, okay? Absolutely crucial. If you go outside of this folder, the script will not recognize that location and give you a null image icon. To prove to you right now that a 5th icon will work if you name it properly, I'm going to select logo-5, which does not come with the installation. I'll select it now, hit open, and hit OK, and boom, it works perfectly. So you can create more than 4 images if you want. Now the little squares underneath, these little funky squares, they're called memory slots. And I believe what they're designed to do is allow you to set up multiple lower thirds and have them cycle from one to the next automatically. I have tried my best to get this to work. I simply can't figure it out. It's just too confusing for me, and so I've come to the conclusion that I don't really need it. And so if you figure it out, let me know in comments and maybe we could tackle it and figure it out together. Wouldn't you just love to have some super cool, sexy animated text on your live streams where the letters are moving and undulating, or they come in and they bounce, or they get squishy, or that kind of stuff? Well, guess what? There are many sources out there, and I've uncovered several, and I will show you how to access them and use their parameters to get the best animated text for your live stream. I will see you over there. Best wishes. Stay strong and keep fighting. Move.
Hey folks, AJ the CEO here, and in this video I want to share with you a basic setup to use a free lower thirds plugin for OBS. So let's go. Hey folks, AJ the CEO here. If this is your first time stopping by the channel, thanks for stopping by. And on the channel we focus on tips, training, strategies, reviews, and builds to help modernize your media ministry. So if you're new here, consider subscribing. And if you like what we're doing here, consider becoming a patron or a YouTube member by clicking one of the links down below. So I've had a lot of people ask me about doing lower thirds, and I've done a bunch of those with how you can use Canva, use Photoshop, make them yourself, upload them through OBS, vMix, use your presentation software to do all that other stuff. And even then, some people are still saying that they're having some issues with that. Hey, no problem. There's a tool for everybody, no matter what your skill set is. And that just happens to be another great plugin that goes into OBS. So let's go ahead and cut over to the computer real quick. Now, this plugin is by, and I'm sorry if I pronounced his name wrong, Noel. Great plugin here for animated lower thirds, not just the static ones that we can make with Canva, but I want to walk you through everything that you need to do this. Now, I'm going to link to another guy's video that goes in super detail about this. I just want to do my take on this because there were a couple of things when I followed his guide that I had some issues with, so I'm doing some tweaks to that for y'all, and I'm coming from ideas of what you can use this for your media ministry or for your church. So let's go over here. I will have a link in the description. Also, there are chapters and timestamps in my videos that you can click down below, or if you go to the timeline and move your mouse over it and click, it'll actually say show chapters, and you'll get a pop-up that shows up over here at the top that you can click through and see the chapters there. So anyway, we're going to go here to the link, like I said, down below, and we're going to go ahead and download this. All right, and let's go ahead and open this. All right, so this is what we have. Now for me, I had some issues with this. It all depends on the security that you have for Windows. Oh, before I even go any further, this is for Windows only. This does not work for Mac yet, okay? So if you're a Mac person, sorry, this does not work for you yet. When I get some more memory, I'm going to try and tweak some stuff in my Ryzen Tosh because she is dead right now with some parts missing. But we'll be trying this later once I hear some updates. But currently, this is for Windows only. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to extract this. You can put it in your downloads folder, but it depends. If you're somebody like me who deletes their downloads over time, you might not want to do it this way. And you might want to put it in a different location. Now, some of y'all, if y'all have got the OBS Complete bundle, I actually just extract this into that folder, which makes it easier. All right, so let's go ahead and click on the compressed folders tools right here. Click extract all. So for me, the first thing is I'm going to put it in a completely different path. I'm going to put mine, for those who use it, I put mine in the OBS Complete bundle, or you can put it anywhere. If you can keep it in your downloads if you want to, but if you're, as long as you're not somebody like me who deletes the contents of their downloads folder over time, you want to put it somewhere to where you won't lose it or accidentally delete it, because if you delete it, you're going to lose everything. So you can put this in your documents, your videos folder, your pictures folder, somewhere like that. I put mine on the C drive under the OBS Complete bundle because it was easy. So I'm going to select that folder there, and I'm going to leave it here because it's going to make another folder. So let's check off Show Extracted Files when complete. Extract. All right, so here is our folder. It made an animated lower thirds folder. And here's the contents of here. Now, this is one thing I want you to check, just in case. Right-click on this folder and go to Properties. And sometimes you may have a box down here saying this it's blocked. You might want to check that and unblock it. It's kind of a security feature so that people won't install something on your computer without you knowing and trying to access your computer and make changes to your computer. I don't believe I have that issue right now, so I'm just going to go look at, all right, so like here. See, this file came from another computer and might be blocked to help protect your computer. You want to unblock that because you're going to have some issues if you don't. Let's go to this one too. And this third one. And you might need to come into the common folder, the JS folder, and do the same thing. See, you can't select them all and unblock, unfortunately. You have to go to each one individually and check the unblock. This gave me numerous issues when I was trying to do this the first time, so hopefully this will save you from here. These files are fine, don't need to change those, and that's it. All right, so now let's go ahead and open up OBS. All right, so with our folders open now, what we're going to do, don't close this path that we got because we're going to be using this multiple times. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go over here to Tools, going to go to Scripts, and in here we're going to click the plus at the bottom here. And then what we're going to do is navigate out to our path here. You can click there